Hello everyone, my name is Lindsay, and this is an experiment. I have been blogging, knit blogging for a couple of years, and when I was in college I listened to a couple of knitting podcasts, but surprisingly found them to be rather boring. Or, not really boring, that's the wrong thing, that's not what I mean to say. Difficult to listen to. I love knitting while I watch TV, and I love knitting while I listen to audiobooks, but for some reason, just listening to people talk about knitting wasn't as interesting as I thought it would be. But then a couple of months ago, I discovered that there are video knitting blogs, and they are so cool, way more interesting than podcasts. And I think just because I can see the person who's talking, and just being able to have a face associated and being able to see what they're knitting, so I've been really enjoying it, and started to think that maybe I might want to do it too. So this is an experiment to see. It's really weird. I'm using the webcam on my computer. I have a 7-year-old MacBook, and I can see myself talking. I'm not sure this is going to work. So anyways, I've been listening to a couple of podcasts, and I meant to bring it out and I forgot. I have a sticky note that has over 20 podcasts, knitting video podcast names written on it. I haven't watched all of them. I've only watched 5 or 6. But what's happening is I have two, I'll step back, say this. There are two video podcasters who I really love, and I liked that I went back and I watched all of their episodes from episode 1 to current in chronological order, and they've both been running for about a year. So that's a lot of podcasts. And one thing that they say all the time on their podcast, that of their viewers, and we're their best friends, and it's such a great community, and I feel like they're my best friends now, and I know so much about them, and I enjoy listening to them talk, but they don't know who I am. And it's that false sense of community where you feel like you're best friends with them, and you're also best friends with all of their viewers, but you don't really know them. And they both have groups on Ravelry for their podcast, and I should just tell you now, I'm talking about the Fat Squirrel Speaks, and Joanna Spring. Joanna Spring Knitspin Farm. And so a lot of their members of their groups also have podcasts, and it's just like this fun world. And I feel like they're my friends now, and I want them to be my friends too. I want all of the great knitters who are out there, who I'm only just finding out exist out there, be my friend. So we'll see how that goes. And there are so many podcasts out there. I've only watched like 5 or 6, and I'm not going to mention the other ones that I've watched because I've only seen a couple of their episodes and I haven't gone crazy about them yet. But I will let you know as I watch more and as I become a super fangirl over more knitting podcasts. Other than it being terrifying to put yourself out there on the internet where everyone can see you and listen to you sound like a dork, another thing that I worry about with doing a video podcast is that I either don't have as much free time as other video podcasters, or I just don't knit as much, because they have weekly podcasts and always tend to have an object that they finished and projects that are almost done, and it just seems like every episode they've got a new project that's done and a new project that they're starting. And I've been working on the same 3 projects for over a month now, so that's not gonna work out for me. I'm either going to have to talk about other things, like other hobbies or random stuff that I do other than knitting, or maybe I'll just do not weekly, maybe it'll be bi-weekly or monthly episodes. Or maybe I'll burn this and never show this to anyone and pretend that this never happened and I just won't do video podcasts. We'll see. I don't really know. I think that's good for introductions. I'm also a little bit younger than a lot of the video podcasters out there that I've seen so far. So that's interesting. See how that doesn't really mean anything, but it's just I've noticed. This is going to be really boring if I only have 5 minutes of podcast for you. So it's really hot, so I'm going to take this off right now. One thing that I've noticed is that the podcasts that I've watched, like, people don't wear their knitting regularly. Like, they'll put on whatever they've just finished and say, ta-da, I finished it. But they're always wearing regular clothes for the podcast, and they don't wear what they've knit. Like, I want to see you wearing constantly, like, stuff that you knit a year ago. So I thought I'd try that, but then the lighting inside my house was horrible, and I came outside, and it's like 90 degrees out here, so this is going away. This, I don't have any finished objects to show you. This is a finished object that I finished last month and that I've already blogged about. It's the Bramble, and I did it in Mad Wool and Tosh lace in the turquoise, and it's very beautiful. And I get cold a lot indoors in restaurants. The air conditioning is too cold for me, so this is the perfect warmth for wearing if you're cold inside restaurants. I love it, but it's not perfect for wearing outside in 90-degree weather. So that's coming off. I really enjoy knitting lace shawls, and I love wearing them indoors. And I find lace weight is warm enough indoors for regular air conditioning, but I found that it's not warm enough for my husband's level of air conditioning. So I'm actually knitting sport or worsted weight stuff because in the air conditioning set be warm, because I have to wear a hoodie in the house. It's 90 degrees outside, which is lovely. I love it. And I go inside and it's like 75 and it's so cold. I don't like it. It's cold. So yes. So I get to work because the air conditioning is on so high. Anyway, moving on. So I'm really enjoying knitting lace, and I'm looking for, so far, knit a lot, but of the lace that I've kept for myself, I only have 3. That one, which was in lace weight, and then I knit a large version of the Swallowtail and Knit Picks palette, which is really warm, and I like wearing that indoors. And then I also knit the Juneberry using the Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, and it's really nice. I like it. It's warm. I want to knit the Juneberry in a airier worsted weight. Like, the Shelter is really nice and I like it, but it has that character and personality and texture, and it's not rigid, but I feel like I want to knit it again in something that feels like a cloud, and I really enjoy it, and it's beautiful, especially draped over something. It's gorgeous. I wear it, but I want another one in an airier cloud, like, in the future. Also, blue yarn for my wedding, knitted up soon into I'll probably put beads on it. I got these small beads that I think would look really pretty. They're like pearls. That I think would look really pretty, and I'm going to start that soon. My husband and I are on vacation in Coronado, and we're in Georgia, so that's a lot of air time for knitting. So I'm trying to wait and cap project for the plane. And I'm also hoping to start a pair of socks, 2 socks on circulars soon. The reason I haven't done that yet is because of my halfway done mittens, the Sleek It knits, and I've finished the first one, except not the thumb, because I always wait and do both thumbs at the same time. And this is Dream in Color Smushy, and it's leftover. I actually did a pair of mermaid gloves for my mother for Christmas, and then there's enough for me to do a pair for myself. So the reason why I haven't started my socks yet is because the bind off requires the acrylics, and then I will. So this is one. I just started doing the increases on this one, and it's like a 20 to, so the gust holds. Forward to starting the 2 socks. I don't know if I'll like it. Definitely move to doing all of the magic loop, even if it's just one at a time. I mean, I hate knitting on DP ends, But my favorite thing to mittens, they're my purse knitting. And this is just the inexpensive DPN holder that knitpicks.com. And it works, but it's such a hassle. You have to open it, and then you have to sort of like very careful taking stitches off doing this, because I'll think and I'll just slide the sock straight off the needles into the holding the needle without the stitches on it anymore. So not Lindsay proof, but it's frustrating. And then when you're in public, you know, you whip it out and then you have these random holders that you have to put somewhere, and it's slow and inconvenient to put back together and stick in your purse. I don't like it. I prefer circulars and magic loop, because then I don't have any circulars on it, because then all you do is you just the stitches onto the cable and then you put it away, and that's it. You're done. And it's way less likely for it to get caught on something in the process. I've been knitting socks this way for a while, and I've never had a really bad accident. I was incapable. I've got some Addy labels, 00 US, and they're really nice, and that's probably what most of this, that's been too big to doing them on the 00s, honestly. I will learn what the pattern says, especially for, I'm knitting some, I might not automatically 4 sizes. I must be doing something wrong because it's just really loose. So that's the one thing I'm doing. I'm also doing a lot of crochet right now. Got this crochet tag on how to crochet so that I can the Crochet So Fine book that I received as a birthday present. Yes, birthday present a couple years ago, and I'm working towards that. Did a little octopus crochet, Socks That Rock, for the orange cow that Fat Squirrel is doing, and it was so easy that I decided as my pocket knitting. I'm in the Navy, and I will glue camos to work, and it has these huge. I'm not doing this outside anymore. Distracting. I'll edit that out. I might not do this outside anymore, but the lighting, if I decide to do this, I'll probably have to buy some sort of extra lighting just to do this. What was I saying? Oh, so there are these huge camo pockets, and so I can just I can fit like a hat or socks or something in there. So I'm doing another of the Octopod projects, and I don't feel really comfortable knitting at work because, I have a desk and there's all these different military professionals, Air Force, Army, and it's very open. Everyone can see what you're doing, and I don't think it's unprofessional to knit in uniform, but I have a feeling that there are a lot of military type people who would be offended to see something so domestic happening at work in uniform. So, however, when there's nothing going, sneak the crochet out and crochet under the desk, or if I'm really desperate and it's busy, women's bathroom for a quick 5-minute crochet break, because people are allowed to have smoke. What's wrong with me taking a smoke break to crochet, to break up the monotony of staring at the computer 10 hours a day. So my second one, I'm knitting out of cotton. I do know I'm using it up with the variegated, and quickly realized there was. And so this is the head, and then I did the body and the belly in white, and you stitch them together. And then I'm enough to do 2 of the legs in purple, and the rest will get sewn on. And I just finished the 7th leg. Halfway through the 7th leg, I ran out of the white cotton, and so I have this baby fingering weight acrylic in white that I'm using double to do the last leg. So I'm almost done with this project, and good riddance, because I enjoy it. It's really fun and it's really easy, and I don't need the pattern anymore to do the legs, so that makes it ideal for pocket knitting, because I don't have pocket crochet. I still say knitting and knit as verbs to refer to my crafting, even when I'm actually in reality crocheting. So I can't make myself remember to say I crocheted it or I'm crocheting. It's just, no, I can no longer be mad at people who difference between knitting and, because I know the difference, and I still call it all knitting. I'm going to be glad to finish that, because while it's fun to do, I don't like the sewing the body parts together part. I don't like that part. So the third project I'm doing is also crochet. And I'm doing it for my husband. He is an anime fan. He's an otaku. And one of the anime that he likes is called Clannad. The heroine in Clannad likes these Dongo characters. It's just this giant, in English, fail right now. It's just this giant dumpling that has a character, and he wants me to crochet him one that's like this big, and like, so you can like hug it. And I couldn't find a pattern specifically for a dongo, and at the time I was like, whatever, I'll just make it up. So I started to do it, and it's all wonky and it's starting to frill, and so I realized there's probably a crochet pattern out there for a giant beach ball slot. So I'm probably gonna look for a pattern that's not dongo specific, but that's shape. And I thought I was smart enough to figure out the increases, and it's just not working out. I have a long way to go if I want it. But I want it to be like 17 inches across on the top, and this is like maybe 6, maybe probably not even that much. So that's all that I'm working on knitting. Obviously I do have 2 projects worth of yarn ready to go, and I'm just waiting the new lace, the blue lace, and then the socks. The socks I have to finish the thick knits before I can start, and the lace I'm really just waiting. I want to start it so that it can be my plain knitting. I feel like I should probably be able to get like a good chunk of it done just on the plain. And we'll be there for 2 weeks, and so I'm sure we're staying with his grandparents. They have a house in Coronado that's a 5-minute walk to the beach. It's amazing. I'm going to probably do some beach knitting. I know that sounds dangerous, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care. If I get sand in my knitting, I'll just wash it. So I'll probably be doing some beach knitting, and I know we're also going to hit the zoo and the animal park, and so there'll probably be some zoo knitting because Aaron really loves the zoo, and he likes doing day trips to the zoo where you go in the morning to eat. I think most normal people, they go to the zoo, they go to their favorite exhibits, they wander around and see what they can see, and they stay for like 2 hours, and then they go. He likes to see everything. So you could pretty much be there all day long and have 2 meals at the zoo. And by meals, I mean ice cream. So I feel like I'll get some knitting in. And also, I went to the animal park last year with him, and we didn't have a lot of time. And we saw the cheetah run. They have this long strip that they just bring the cheetah in, and they just let it run, and literally, blink of an eye, he runs the whole length of the strip. People stood on the fence for an hour ahead of time before they did the run to save their spot so that they could see the cheetah. So if we do that, that's an hour of knitting that I could be doing while we save our spots to see the cheetah run. Because last year we didn't do that, and we saw the cheetah run from a very, very far distance, and I barely saw anything. So I don't know if we'll do that. We might do the rest of the park that I didn't see last time. But yeah, so that's my plans for knitting, and that's it. I have nothing else. I am spinning. My spinning is still very basic. I took a drop spindle class in 2008 while I was in college, and it was one of those classes where they give you a handmade drop spindle that's just a CD on a dowel, and I spun with that for a while. I hated it. It sucked so much, mostly because the CD wasn't really fixed onto the dowel very well, so it would like tilt and it wouldn't stay perfectly horizontal, and it would be wobbly, and it would wobble, and then it would backspin. It was horrible. And then I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool, and for some reason, I don't even know why, for some reason my whole family went with me. So I had this little brother that's like 7 at the time, and I really wanted to get a spinning wheel, and so I was really excited about the spinning mills and looking at them all and talking about it. And he's very technical minded, and he decided he wanted a spinning wheel, and he wanted it way more than I did. Like, he cried when we finally made him understand that we weren't going to buy him one, because I couldn't even afford to buy myself one. He cried so hard. In an effort to make him feel better about his life, I bought him an Ashford drop spindle, just a basic spindle. And he played around with it for a couple of weeks, and he, longer than I expected. I thought that I would get the spindle that day, and it would just go home with me after he was done with it. That didn't happen. He liked it for a lot longer than that, but eventually I did claim it. So I'm spinning on that. And I've spun some stuff. I did spin enough worsted weight to knit a hat. That's probably the biggest thing I did this year. I've spun other stuff in previous years, but there was a long 2-year break spinning, and now. So recently I spun enough worsted weight to knit a hat and some alpaca. It's my first time spinning alpaca. I don't really like it that much. There's an alpaca farm 11 minutes from my house, so I saw the alpaca, I bought 2 ounces of roving, and I'm spinning it. Here's my spindle, and it's so wispy, and it's so soft. It's 100% alpaca, straight from the alpaca. It's so soft and airy and cloudy, so it's soft and lovely, but then it has this hair element as well. Like, it's got 2 different types of fiber. It's got this hair element as well. It feels like dog hair. So like, I'll be spinning, then I'll hit like a hairier piece, and it'll be like, oh, dog hair. So I don't know. It doesn't bother me as a single. Like, the single doesn't bother me, but every now and then there'll be like a hairy bit in the. It's just makes me feel itchy. So I don't have a scale, so I don't really know how much of this I've done. The other thing I don't like about drop spindles, probably because I'm not doing it right. First of all, I do not like the process of winding it off so that you can keep spinning. I hate that. Like, that takes so long to do, and I just need something to just ply for the drop spindle, so I don't have to do that. That's the first thing. The second thing is that as you spin and wind yarn along here, and it spins slower, and it spins for less time. And so right now, when I spin it, it just goes and 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 goes. The slower that is, and the less time that way. As it gets heavier, it starts to backspin. So then it's always dropping and falling because I'm not paying attention, and it's slowed down and started to backspin, and I'm actually unspinning my yarn, and I hate it. And then I have to stop and unwind the yarn onto something like this so that I can keep going. I don't like it. I hate it. But I'm enjoying, despite that, I am enjoying spinning it, and I'm trying to spin thin. The thing that's really hard for me still to think about all those things at once. You have to think about holding it, and then when you have this fiber, and you're like, how do I hold it without? I'm making it look harder than it is. But I'm spinning it, and it doesn't sound like much when you're thinking about production and you're thinking about actually having enough yarn to knit something. But when you're just looking at it, it's only 2 ounces. It looks like so much. But it's probably because there's a lot of air. But it just, how am I going to spin all that? At the time, because I just got finished spinning 4 ounces, and that went really fast. Those 4 ounces of BFL, and it was colory, and also no color. It was all lovely, and it's like 2 ounces out in a month. That hasn't happened. Oh yes, I think that's everything. Spinning. I love spinning. More nice BFL. My sister is so lovely. She got me a 3-month membership club thing. So I do have some that I'm saving. Hopefully I'll get a wheel very soon, within the next couple of months. So I do have that as like incentive to finish the alpaca spinning. Maybe it would be better if I just did a blend, like wool all blended together. Maybe it would. The knitting. Yeah, okay, that's everything. So I'm going to turn this off and take my computer inside where I'm away from all the bugs and watch this and see if it's horrible enough to see whether it's too horrible to post or not. That's what we'll see. Yeah, so we'll see. This is an experiment to see maybe if I want to do a video podcast or not. If I decided to do it, it would probably be bi-weekly and not weekly. And I don't know, a lot of people do their podcasts through iTunes to make it easy for people to subscribe, and I mean that's fine because I do use iTunes for other things, but I don't want to do that. Is it hard for people? I just want to put it on YouTube. Is it hard for people to watch serialized episodes on YouTube? Do people not like that? Do people have YouTube accounts that they subscribe to people's channels so that they know when new stuff comes out? Do people do that, or is that old? Do people not do that anymore? I would prefer to do it that way. That would make me happy, to just have it on YouTube and have it all be in one place, and I like that. But if other people aren't going to watch, then I guess let me know your thoughts. I mean, I'm sure it's not hard to get stuff on iTunes. I just don't want to do it. So let's see what happens. Thank you for, if you're watching, thank you. Thank you for not making fun of me, and if you post a comment, thank you for being kind and gracious and probably lying about how good this trial was, and hopefully I will see you again. Bye. Where is the stop button?